From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Hayslip, sitting in for Nick Beres on MorningLine this morning. Nick out, and it is Open Phones Thursday, so I desperately would love for you to call in at 737+. We're going to hit on a whole variety of issues. Of course, so many things have been in the news lately with the Adrian Peterson domestic violence situation and now more fallout. You know, and it really does get into how were you raised. He, of course, has said that, you know, he was raised that way. Well, I mean, in a way, some of us can relate to that. I remember my mom, we had a willow tree in the backyard. That's always a bad sign if you have a willow tree in the backyard because, you know, I would go out and get a switch and my mom would take the switch to me when I was misbehaving. However, I've kind of changed my tune on this, and I invite you to call in because I'd love to hear what you say about this because, you know, when I first heard that he had been arrested for domestic assault because of the spanking of his child, I thought, well, you know, a lot of parents could probably be in that same kind of situation. But then when you see the pictures of this 4-year-old child and that blood has been drawn on the boy's thighs and you realize that's not just a regular switch the way that my mom would have done it years ago, then you realize maybe there's a lot more to this. So I invite you to call in. We've got some lines already starting to blink. This is a major hot topic issue, and we're going to talk about a ton of things today, but I know this is going to take up a lot of our time this morning because it is interesting. I mean, my dad was a school principal. I've been paddled. I've been hit with the, you know, swatted with the belt. I've been swatted with the paddle. You know, we don't do that in our home anymore with our kids, but I invite you to call in and let me know. Joe is on line 1, I believe. Hey, Joe, are you there?
I'm there.
Hey, man, good morning. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm just going to speak a little bit about what your subject is here.
Okay.
These sports figures, kind of money they're making, setting a real bad example for our young people growing up to see some of the things they're doing. And I agree with you. When I was, you know, growing up, even in schools, the school teachers had paddles and stuff, and it wasn't that they used them that much. It was just the fear of being paddled and being, you know, being embarrassed about being paddled. So, these guys going a little bit too forward and stuff, and you know, I just don't, you know, agree with it. And when they suspend them, they're still making $700-some thousand.
$690,000 a week is what Adrian Peterson is making right now. And I agree with you. That's a whole other issue that needs to be addressed. But, you know, when I got my first paddling in school, I was in the 1st grade. The 1st grade back in Memphis at Elmore Park Elementary School. And I remember the principal asking me, I was telling the other guys in the other studio this morning, the principal asked me, and I don't know why I remember this because I was, probably 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. He said he had a paddle, and he said, I can either paddle you on your head or on your bottom. Which do you prefer? Now, if I'd have been really smart, I would have said, on my head, and I'll see you in court. But of course, I cried and said on my bottom. But I remember that 1st grade, I got a paddling, and of course, you know, I messed up, and I probably deserved it. But it's interesting to see the change of tide and how, you know, you don't do corporal punishment in schools, and most people don't do it in homes anymore. However, I think you're right. I think, you know, some of these athletes may not, and Leland pointed this out this morning during a commercial break. We're talking about this. I'm sure a lot of people are talking about it in their homes. Some of these guys may not even realize their own strength. And Dave Nichols said this: you never paddle or you never discipline in anger. That may have been the case here because, you know, when you hear that a child got hit with a switch, you're thinking, okay, well, you know, hopefully it wasn't that bad. It can't be that bad. A switch can't do that much damage. My goodness, this 4-year-old has open wounds. If those pictures are legitimate, and I assume they are, I've not heard nothing to the contrary, then that's beyond just a normal switch hit. So, you know, I think you're right. I think it is sad to see that, and it is a disgrace for those athletes, and certainly a bad example as role models that they are.
Well, they've been getting away with it a long time, and nobody's never did anything about it.
Yeah.
But I think you will agree, if you go back to your little story about your first paddling, after that, it wasn't what the paddle did to you. It was the next time it was in your mind that you was in fear.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, that solved it. Pretty
You're right.
well for you, probably right there.
Well, I never use the bathroom on the wall in the bathroom anymore. That's for sure, and that's what got me in trouble in the first place.
I agree.
Joe, thanks, man. I appreciate you calling in. Love sharing my little story there, huh? Just what you wanted to hear this morning. Hey, Mike, you're on the air. Go ahead, man.
Yes, good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Good to see you on there, and enjoy your program.
Thank you.
The reason I'm calling is the domestic violence that the NFL is currently having difficulties with. I'm fortunate enough to be in a committed relation that we would not ever do anything like that, and so I'm just, I guess, a viewer of the whole thing and feel sorry for these people. But the reason I'm calling is I do not believe that the NFL hasn't taken this seriously. Has everyone forgot we have lost our quarterback, Steve McNair, to domestic violence?
Yeah.
There was also the player in Arizona that murdered his wife and mother-in-law and then took his own life in front of his coach. This is an issue. I know it's a hard one to wrap your hands around it, but I do not believe that the commissioner, Roger Goodell, has taken it serious, and there has been plenty of evidence throughout the years. I don't expect him to fix America's problems, but as far as the organization, I do not feel like he has taken it seriously, and I contribute it to celebrities do not have the same type of justice as the rest of us.
They seem to get a pass on a lot of things. What do you think he should have done years ago? I mean, and I wish we had knowledge of the inner workings of what they teach NFL players. I know they now talk to them, counsel them about finances and things of that nature. I would love to know how in-depth they go on domestic violence, on relationships that, you know, are not conducive to what probably would be in their best interest. I'd love to know that.
The thing that I would suggest is the coaching. Are you still there?
I'm sorry, I'm gulping coffee. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm always with you.
I played sports. My brothers played sports. And the coach, if our grades on any of the time that grades were, you had to have at least a C or better average to play. There was practices that would be suspended, and all of us would have to do work because he wanted the team, or we had female coaches as well, that they put practice off to promote education. I do think it is the coaching. You have to take this seriously. That is your authority that you report to.
Yeah.
And I think this could have been handled much better if you, the coach of the Colts, the former coach, which was Peyton's coach, is a wonderful example. He took his job very seriously, and I'm sorry that I do not recall these gentlemen's names, but they have made an impression. And so I think it's basically the coaching. If you express to your players that this is not tolerated and you're not going to go on the field, what sport that you play, that would be a great start.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot more to coaching now, certainly, than the X's and O's. And I've had coaches, you know, in my past, I'm 53 almost now, and I've had coaches in the past that were very X and O oriented. And, you know, as you get older, you realize there's a lot more to coaching regarding leadership, character issues, morals, things of that nature that really need to be stressed, and I'm hoping more and more coaches are doing that. Mike, thanks for the call. Hey, we're going to take a really quick break. I'm going to let you go here. We're going to take a quick break. We have tons of people waiting to call in, and we're going to get to you as soon as we come back here on Morning Line. Thanks for calling in. We'll be right back.